this woman right here is too white to be a part of perhaps the single most racist movie ever made. Or, at the very least, the most racially obsessed movie. Children of Blood and Bone, a 100% black movie based on an equally 100% black original book, which has apparently become hugely popular, in large part, I believe, because it has begun the gentle beginnings of a mythos for the African diaspora, which is a point we will return to a little bit later, but first, the movie has been surrounded by a fair bit of controversy. Now, you might think the obvious would be, isn't this racist? Isn't this the textbook definition of racism? Is this not, in fact, illegal? I mean, surely there are some anti-discrimination laws on the books over in the good old US of A, right? And surely hiring your entire cast of characters based explicitly on the melanin content of their skin would be in violation of some of those statutes, right? Well, of course not, because this is diversity. Very, very diverse indeed, but no, the biggest drama around it has been the author, Tommy Adeyemi, declaring that the film is the worst thing I have ever had to live through. Damn, okay. The worst thing you've ever experienced is having your fantasy setting turned into a $100 million movie extravaganza with every actor and actress that you could possibly desire brought on board to the project and released worldwide. That is the worst thing that has ever happened to you. Yet again, I find myself deeply desiring some of that oppression I hear is so common amongst her people over in the old US of A, but such is life, I do suppose. But what exactly could this drama be? What could have made this the worst experience in her entire life? Well, the only other significant drama around this movie comes from colorism. What the fuck does colorism mean? That's a very good question. One that you have to be pretty damn far to the left to understand. Well, it comes back to my original point that this is not a black woman. Don't take my word for it. I know, I mean, to me, she looks black, and, I mean, I consider myself a bit of an expert on what white is, at the very least. But take instead the author of this article, Susan Akayamapong, who declares here that even if some readers imagined Amari, which is the character that she is playing, as a light-skinned girl, why didn't the filmmaker take the opportunity to buck Hollywood's long-standing pattern of casting lighter-skinned women in roles for black women? So, yeah, this is not a black woman, as has been declared by the authorities on the matter here. And also, buck the trend of producing movies with 100% diversity. Holy shit. Okie dokie then, very well, that makes a tremendous amount of sense, doesn't it? Well, but how is this connected? So, you have again the drama around this and colorism. Now, that problem still exists in this world of ours. Now, Amandla Stenberg herself has actually been on the pro-diversity side in the past, commenting on the Oscars so white nonsense and the need for diversity. She's hardly alone about that, as well. The entire cast, there is one unifying thing for the entire starring cast of Children and Blood and Bone. And whilst it is also their skin color, or well, actually, no, I'm wrong there, because one of them, again, isn't a black woman. No, the one thing they all have in common is that they've all spoken out in favor of diversity and the desperate need for more representation in movies. Gosh darn it, we need to tell more diverse stories. That's what we require. You know, there's so much racism and sexism in the movie industry. We've got to fix this by hiring me, I guess. More black people, specifically by handing paychecks to these people over and over again, which does indeed appear to be the sole motivating factor for all but one of them. The only one of these actors I can even vaguely respect is Idris Elba, because he at least seems to be cognizant of the obvious hypocrisy at work here. As while he himself has also had his diversity rants, he has also always added in the qualifier that he also wants diversity of ideas and thoughts within the movies, rather than simply just skin color, which appears to be all of the other cast's sole singular all-consuming obsession. So then, returning to this here. So, a best-selling author flees movie set sobbing after revealing she blocked lead actress. Okay. So the colorism thing returned. The only one she seems to have had a problem with is our white girl over here. And there is a wonderful image of a conversation where the author says, "Do not ever use my name in an interview or video again. Do not text me. Do not call. You blocked this contact." Okay, so clearly she has it out for this actress, right? Well, we can see a tiny snippet of a message above it here. Know how to continue this, I may, something like that. My only hope was to reconnect as human beings. And the rest is too obscure to really be more than guesswork. But reconnect as human beings. Why would you choose a language like that? That's the kind of language you select if you feel that some part of your basic humanity has been denied, as if some intrinsic part of your identity, perhaps, has been ignored or set aside. Perhaps even something that you've spent quite a bit of time building up and trading on, perhaps. Like, for example, the reason why you were cast in this movie. And it is now being denied as, yet again, not a black woman. Purely speculation, of course, here, but okay, so this entire movie was such a terrible experience that she was left sobbing and wanted nothing to do with the movie at all, and the only other drama surrounding it is colorism, combined with the actress's plea to be viewed as a human being. Well, they do say that massive amounts of racism has a tendency to dehumanize people, doesn't it? Weird, that. Weird indeed, if you focus purely on skin color, that is. And, okay, I want to double back on that particular topic for a second as well here, because I don't actually have any problems whatsoever with the Children of Blood and Bone. In fact, the trailer that I saw looked kind of appealing. It looked perhaps a little bit too Wakanda-esque, as it seems to have become the sole inspiration for African history or fantasy these days, but c'est la vie, very well. But I want to point out a little bit of an interesting parallel here. See, African mythology is in a weird place, where technically quite a lot of it still exists, but virtually all of it exists because of Western and European explorers, specifically. Virtually all of the tales that we have written down comes from them. A damn near majority of African cultural artifacts today reside not in Africa, where you'd think naturally they could be found, but rather in Western museums, primarily because the Western explorers were the only ones who seemed to have any actual interest in maintaining that culture and taking care of those cultural artifacts and traditions, to the point where researching the actual origins of a lot of African mythology has become extraordinarily difficult, as the original sources, more often than not, simply doesn't exist anymore. Africa is a vast continent, and there are also countless people from the descendants of Africans, particularly in America, that seek some sort of connection to this near mythical motherland, and yet there exists so very little. There was somebody who found themselves in a somewhat similar position not too long ago by the name of Tolkien. As a large part of the reason why he set out to create his universe was to form a mythology for Britain, lending elements of other people's mythos, taking the best parts here and there and combining them in a way that was fitting and interesting, crafting an entire universe around it with the express intention of creating again that mythology, also laced with moral lessons and a very clear Christian influence. That, of course, became an enormous success because people want a mythos. People want something common, something greater than themselves. And for Tolkien, that was The Lord of the Rings. Now, I'm not sure I'll hold this up alongside that particular literary masterpiece, but I can absolutely see and understand a deep-seated desire from the African diaspora to gather around a common mythology, a positive message of themselves, as this is a world of magic, of mythology, of hereditary rulership, of order, and an advanced civilization of dignity and gravitas. Exactly the kind of thing you would expect to see in the foundational formative mythology of a continent, of a nation. Now, that is why I'm very sympathetic towards this, and why I simultaneously call absolute Hippocratic bullshit on the people who are starring in it, because here's the thing. The justification from the progressive position will undoubtedly be this. Oh, well, you know, it's been so long with all of those damned racists in charge, you know, people hiring basically on solely on skin color, etc., that it's now time for us to come to the fore and take up the space that we've always been owed. Basically, turn around his fair play. And if that had actually been the argument, if they had simply come out and said, listen, we're doing to you what you've done to us, suffer, I'd respect that, because it's true. You don't actually need diversity in every project, despite the constant utterances to the otherwise. But that isn't the argument, because most of these people have no understanding of the ideology whose flag they so proudly fly. The only one who might have a general understanding is Idris, as throughout his various nonsensical speeches on diversity, he strikes me as at least the most likely guy to understand the duality of diversity again here. As, again, you don't need diversity. Lord of the Rings has not at all been improved by the introduction of black people in the Rings of Power, nor would the introduction of white people in any way improve Children of Blood and Bone. Other than as the villains, I guess, as you do need an outside force, some anti-civilizational element, and hey, you know what? From the point of view of Africa, if you have a modern, advanced Africa, and then a bunch of people come up in gunship and start enforcing their rule upon you, that would work. It would be blatantly anti-colonial and probably would need to be handled with a certain degree of finesse to not simply become tropey nonsense, but the outside aggressor is always an excellent thing to rally against in foundational mythos now, isn't it? I kind of want the movie to do well, because on the one hand, I would like to see this rewarded, the idea behind it rewarded. On the other hand, I also feel as if it might come from a rather unfortunate place. I also want to point out here, this video contains absolutely nothing, really. Nothing at all. Just whinging and whining about how being a part of this enormous project and having her fantasy setting be brought to millions of people is the worst thing she's ever experienced. And hey, I get it. She's probably bowed hands and feet, tongue, ears, and eyelids to 17 different forms of NDAs, but if you actually can't do anything except just purely whinge about it, after having been entirely on board with the project for the entirety of the time preceding it, I'm I'm going to start raising some question marks as to why, leading back yet again to the fact that the only real drama we have is the colorism and the plea of one of the actresses of being connected to as a human being. This is also again the problem. If you base your mythology on race alone, and that's the thing, Tolkien's mythology was not based on race. It was based on culture, on heritage, on a shared understanding of the world, and based also heavily on, again, morality, Christian shared morality. This, from what I can judge so far, and bear in mind I'm sure there's far richer things within the books themselves, appear to be primarily based on the ethnicity of the people playing roles in it, and the colour of the people playing roles in it. That is not a good foundation to build damn near anything upon, as again, displayed by the fact that once you begin lauding skin colour as some sort of intrinsically valuable asset in and of itself, well, it leads to interesting places. Not always beneficial ones, but I suppose that is a lesson for Susan Akiyama-Pong and her like to learn as well. Do let me know what you think down in the comment section below too, if you like the idea of a shared mythos. And hey, listen as well, if this will spare my mythos, if I never have to see another black female Viking chieftain ever again, then I am more than happy to embrace this. Make your own thing over there. If it's good, fantastic. I'll enjoy it right alongside you, and just leave my stuff alone. Please, you can have your own. And I do wonder again, is this a black woman? Let me know, because clearly I can no longer tell these things. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching. I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.